So, what up, so? Happy Tuesday after a nice, refreshing third day off.
The sudden realization of you to realize, it's Tuesday. That was awesome. I could just see it click in there. It's like it's Tuesday.
Correct. That is correctly exactly what happened. Correctly and exactly what happened. It is Tuesday. We had yesterday off. Thanks to all of you for understanding that we wanted a day off, so that's what we did. We celebrated our laboring just like you do.
Yeah, I labored. So, that's what I spent the last 2 days putting together an office for my wife, and I have Band-Aids on my fingers to prove it.
Good Lord. Did you lose a fight with a weed whacker?
No, this is what happens when you pull up carpet, pull up tack strip, which tack strip, I don't know if you've ever pulled that up before. There's little nails sticking out the entire way. And I put down new flooring and it was a little bit sharp.
Whatever you did, stop.
No, it's okay. It was worth it for my wife because she's in the new office this morning. It took me 2 days to get it done. Shouldn't have taken me 2 days.
You know what I did this weekend?
You actually took time off and relaxed and had fun. But you know what I did? I had fun because I got to create and I got to, that's just my fun and your fun. Sometimes are the same, but this weekend, not so much.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. I absolutely did what Lonzo said. I took the time to do nothing, and it was incredible. We floated on the river a little bit, did a little relaxation, a little imbibing on the river.
Do you sing Rolling on the River while you were floating on the river?
Big wheels keep on turning, Lonzo. They truly do. Yeah. Did nothing. And it was amazing. I watched football and it was incredible. And now it's time to talk a little bit of football. You just hold off, Lonzo, because I didn't even put a lunch breakdown together today. I didn't even do it because all I wanted to do was come in here and talk about the two games that you guys care about. That is to say, a redonk win as South Carolina looked really good in the introduction to the Shane Beamer era. And Clemson rushed for 2 yards in an entire game. 2 yards, total and complete, 2 yards. Listen.
But those people out there who really enjoy the defensive contest, you'll love the game. If you love the defense, you'll love that game.
Oh, I do, and I did. I love the defense. I don't need every game to be 45-42 for me to feel good about having watched it. I'll take a 10-3 football game. By the way, offensive touchdowns in this game? 0. None. Not a single one of them. 0 touchdowns on the offense. The only TD in the game, a pick six for Christopher Smith off of DJ Uiagalelei. The Bulldogs held the Tigers to 2 yards rushing, sacked DJ Uiagalelei 7 times to get themselves in position for what appears to be a likely run at the playoffs should they get through the regular season comfortably. Lynn J. Dixon had 1 carry for 10 yards. By the way, the reason he was out until late in the game was apparently a disciplinary reason. It was something that happened where he broke team protocol, team code. So he got sad. You're still going to have to explain to me why it is that after you brought Lynn J. Dixon back into the game, he touched the rock one time. Explain that to me. Will Shipley, the phenom. He's supposed to be the next coming. He's supposed to be the heir apparent to the C.J. Spiller throne there in Clemson. 4 carries, 7 yards. Cubby Pace, 4 carries, 7 yards. And, of course, DJ ended up having a couple of design runs. But when you add up all of the statistics lost to sack, 23 carries, 14 carries, minus 22 yards for the team, 23 carries, a grand total of 2 yards rushing.
You know, one thing I was shocked about was the TV crew constantly, why isn't DJ running the ball? Why isn't he running the ball? They said that the quarterback would be running the ball just like before. And I don't understand why he's not. Why do they want him to run the ball so bad? They were pushing that hard. Maybe there were open lanes. Maybe he should have ran the ball. He looked a little nervous at first, but it's a tough defense. At least we believe so. If we went to going to struggle the entire year. That would be an overreaction.
Oh, overreacting is fun. It's kind of what happens on Monday/Tuesdays, right? I don't think it's an overreaction to be very concerned about this Clemson offense right now. Georgia's defense is good. And for the record, if I was broadcasting in Athens, Georgia, I'd be saying the same thing about the Bulldogs right now. Because they are concerned as well, right? They're concerned as well. This offense for Georgia, 121 on the ground, 135 through the air. JT Daniels, 22 of 30, $135, no touchdowns, 1 pick. They're panicking as well, and I would say, yo, hold up, wait a minute. The Clemson defense is good, but let's look at the numbers there, right? 178 yards through the ground, 178 through the air, with no TDs and 1 INT for DJ Uiagalelei. JT Daniels, not much better, 22 of 30 for 135, 0 touchdowns and a pick. Both of these defenses are good. But then I look at what Georgia did on the ground. Zamir White, 13 carries, 74 yards. Kendall Milton, 6 for 27. 5 for 19 for James Cook. 121 on the ground, and that includes the negative 10 yards in sacks that JT Daniels lost. Why do they want DJ Uiagalelei to run the ball? Because you're right. You are right. The TV guys did repeatedly say, why isn't DJ running the ball? We need DJ to run the ball, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's why. There is, wherever it comes from, and for whatever reason, there is this belief that DJ Uiagalelei is a running quarterback. There's this belief that DJ Uiagalelei is this guy who is going to tuck it and run it more than Trevor did. Go back to ACC Media Days when I was up in Charlotte broadcasting for you. When I was up in Charlotte broadcasting for you and bringing you coverage from ACC Media Days, we got to sit down with DJ Uiagalelei, Big Cinco, as his necklace said. And DJ, in our conversations with him, we asked specifically, are you going to be running the ball more than Trevor did, or is there a lot of designed runs in the scheme for you? And do you remember what DJ told us? DJ said to us in audio that I will probably go pull after the show and have on hand for the remainder of the year, because I suspect we're not done with this conversation yet. DJ said, what people don't remember, what people don't remember or don't realize, according to DJ Uiagalelei, was that he said Trevor Lawrence is faster than me. He said Trevor Lawrence was faster than me, was a better runner than me. I inferred that. He didn't specifically say that. But he said he was a faster runner than me, and if they were going to run more, he would have run more, but I'm not. I'm going to play the same brand of Clemson football that Trevor Lawrence played. And that's exactly what we saw. I think the reason that people were calling for DJ to run the ball more, Lonzo, was because on a lot of plays, the Dogs were sending 3. They were sending 3 and dropping 8, or they'd send 3 and then a linebacker from somewhere behind the line to jumble up the OL reads. There were a lot of 3-man rushes, 4-man rushes, and I think what the TV guys were suggesting to Georgia, scratch that to Clemson, I think what they were suggesting was to send DJ on design runs to the outside in order to try to pull some of that Bulldog pressure out, because they were rushing B and C gaps all night. And I think the TV guys were suggesting, if we send DJ left and right, if we extend the field laterally, then the Bulldogs front 3 won't be able to just mash up the field. Which, if you look, of the 7 sacks that DJ took, Lonzo, I think 6 of them were between the tackles. 6 of those sacks were directly between the tackles. They wanted to extend the field laterally, make Georgia chase DJ laterally, and give the receivers more time to develop routes. I still don't know if it would have worked.
Well, this is classically how you handle a young quarterback. You do. You make them beat you through the air, and he couldn't do that. And you're right. They shouldn't be getting that kind of pressure with just 3 guys, which makes you question how good is Clemson's offensive line. Now, luckily, they're not gonna face a defense anywhere near like that in the ACC, especially with what we saw happen over the weekend to all the ACC teams.
I am going to start. Texter on the text line. Ingles Market text line is open, 71307. Texter says his name is DJ. XP Kicker didn't get to play. Love it. Texter says, Rob, wanted to ask you this. Obviously, Clemson's offense was terrible. Georgia's defense, as emphasis on me for the terrible. I like the Charles Barkley take. Obviously, Clemson offense was terrible, awful. Georgia's defense looked great, but how many other teams this season are going to hold the Bulldogs to 10 points? No, I agree with you. If there's a positive takeaway here, Lonzo, it's the fact that Clemson's defense was good. James Skalski was a headhunter in this game. We knew he was going to be. We knew that they were going to generate pressure. They did. Came up with 1 big interception in the 3rd, had a couple of sacks on the JT Daniels. Clemson's defense was just fine, and they're not going to play another team like Georgia.
Yeah, and speaking of defense, you interviewed Skalski and you asked him if he was going to play any different this year, and he said no. If anything, I think he got more intense.
He said he was going to.
Yeah, and I agree. That defense is for real, and the thing is, with a defense that's for real like that, they're probably not going to be tested all year long, and the offense will have time to catch up.
Yeah, Georgia's going to face. We've mentioned this. This isn't going to shock anybody, but Georgia's got a much tougher schedule to run through than Clemson does. Like, obviously, right? They got South Carolina. By the way, South Carolina, an underdog to ECU this weekend. Disrespect or fair, Lonzo? An underdog to ECU?
I think it's fair.
Really?
I do. Until they prove something. Yeah, they look good in the game against Eastern Illinois, but you got to go in history. You got to go on what they have coming back. And I don't have a problem with it. And I'm guessing South Carolina doesn't have a problem with it either. Because wouldn't you rather be the underdog? It's going to make you play with more intensity. It's going to make you play with, especially if the coaching staff plays up the disrespect, which of course they will. And no problem with that at all. They're probably going to be the underdog in a lot of games they play this year.
Of course, you absolutely should not listen to me. I went 3-7-1 in my picks to open the year. So, not great. Not great at all.
How did I do?
5-5-1.
Oh, man, I suck.
5. Hey, you pick 50%. That's what Vegas is going for.
Yeah, so
50% qualifies you.
So,
I went 3.
So you stack that 7-2.
Texter says, if Will Shipley is supposed to be the next coming, then I'd say that prediction arrived too early. But Hey, Rob, my Tigers only had one less rushing yard than points. Brighter note, it's Beer Lovers Day, and I need more, ... It is happy National Beer Lovers Day to everybody but Lonzo.
Yeah, apparently it is. I heard that on Word also. So hey, you guys have fun with that.
Celebrate good times. Come on. ESPN, there ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Boom, boom, boom. I don't know what that text is in reference to.
Yeah, me either. I'm just like, I'm trying to figure out where it fit. I mean, wonderful lyrics and a great song, but still.
Bum, bum. It's a great song. Great song.
Or maybe they're trying to say that's what Clemson fans are feeling right now because, that's she being the national championship.
Oh, she ain't gone. She ain't gone, Clemson. Your road got tougher. All right? You got to go uphill a little more than you would have liked. But you ain't done. And we'll talk about that coming up. Texter, Clemson looked lost and Carolina's QB looked pretty good. Yeah, Zeb Nolan controlled the offense. But again, it's like we mentioned, we do have to remember that this was against Eastern Illinois. You know what? Let's do this. Because I got something I got to say to some folks that had some tweets for me on Saturday. All right? I did a little bit of a tweet on Saturday where I said, hey, thumbs up, Gamecocks. And I got, but they're playing Eastern Illinois. Yes, I know. This game wasn't about getting a good score line. I mean, it was about winning. But it wasn't just about winning. Tell you what it was about and why South Carolina is absolutely going to get the praise this week. When we come back on the Rob Brown Show, Rob Alonso, you. Welcome back, football. We missed you so much on the Rob Brown Show. And ESPN Upstate. So those of you watching on the stream, I have to tell you how much I love the little community we've built here. We read the Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone text, and Lawrence and I, Lonzo and I, could not figure out what text.
It's the hair. It's fine.
Couldn't figure out what they were talking about. And so we went to break with that mystery and unsolved. And we have now gotten 6 different texts from people pointing out that Sunshine is obviously Trevor Lawrence in this song.
Including my wife.
Lonzo's better half.
Hey, it's ESPN Upstate's Mark Ryan. Join me and Ingles Markets this and every Thursday from 3 to 7 with a special live edition of Offsides with Mark Ryan. This Thursday will be at 1500 Gear Highway Travelers Rest. Brought to you by Ingles Markets on ESPN Upstate.
This feature sponsored by Navage. Worried about what you're breathing in? With each breath, allergens, germs, and viruses get trapped in your nose. Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage. N-A-V-A-G-E. Available at Navage.com.
You have a golf card in the next break.
Perfect.
Powerball is bringing more ways to win with Double Play. Next time you play Powerball, add Double Play for an extra $1 to give your members an additional chance to win up to $10 million. See SCEducationLottery.com for game odds and details. We're not here to take part. We're here to take over.
Rocking and rolling, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. Let me tell you why I love the Rob Brown Show community we are building here in the Upstate. We read that text on the way out that said, ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Boom, boom, boom. And couldn't figure out why the texter would have sent us that. Like, why would you have sent us that? And then we got 6 and counting text messages on the Ingles Market text line at 71307 that said, texter, all the different texters saying, Trevor Lawrence is sunshine. Duh, dummy.
You know what this is proof of? You and I, not Clemson hacks.
Correct.
If we were, we would have right away.
By the way, speaking of texts and tweets I got over the weekend, and my word was Twitter fun on Saturday. I think that's what keeps me on Twitter. It's not the doom scrolling late into the night of all the things wrong with the world. It's the Saturday morning carnage when college football's getting underway. It's what I'm here for, man. I got a handful of texts and tweets on Saturday. And I don't know that we've really had to address it all that much. We didn't really get the chance to last year, but we do now. Lonzo, me. I don't pretend to speak for Mark and Diesel, but I'll do it here. Our goal for this station is to be the upstate sports talk station of choice. But we are also going to be hashtag fair and balanced trademark. Somebody else has already claimed that. So we got to hashtag it and also TM it. We are not.
I thought you were having heart problems or something there for a
hashtag.
second. It's like, do I need to go get the defib?
Now you got me messed up. Defib. Shocky paddles.
Yeah. Those.
Do we need the?
Clear! We have some of those, by the way. They're
Do we?
downstairs. Yeah.
I thought I was going to need them after watching AW this weekend, but you know that's coming around later in the show, right? You do.
Huh?
You do. We are not Clemson fans. We are not South Carolina fans. We are not App State fans except Diesel. Diesel said App State was the best looking football team in all the Carolinas and then told me to stop pandering when I said I thought South Carolina looked just as good.
By the way, I am a South Carolina fan in the interest of fairness. So
you know what I mean.
Well, I didn't want you to, you said you didn't want to speak for it. So I wanted to correct you there because there will be other people who will say Lonzo was wearing a Gamecock jersey last week. Yes.
Here's the point that I'm making. On Saturday after the Clemson Georgia L, on behalf of the Tigers, I started flipping stations, and there are other stations in the community.
What?
I know, shocking. I don't know why, but there are. And it was excuses and apologies. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I don't think the sky is falling in Clemson, South Carolina. I think you got beat by a damn fine Georgia Bulldog football team. And don't forget, a damn fine Georgia football team that a lot of media members have placed into their 4-team playoff. All right? A lot. A lot of teams think Clemson is getting in. Is getting in.
Are you taking Clemson out?
Georgia will.
You're taking Clemson out after that?
No, I'm not. Who's left? Turns out I may have overshot on North Carolina.
Just a little bit.
Turns out I was correct and everybody else was wrong about Miami. They're not good. Well, they played Alabama, but you get my point. Who else? Who else? See, because Georgia's got Bama in the ACC championship.
Well, some would say Ohio State needs to be out of there since they struggled in the first half against Minnesota.
Yeah, but they won the game.
Yeah, they did.
Who else? And I guess so when I say who else, I mean who else is left between Clemson and being a one-loss conference champion? If Georgia goes undefeated, they're in, and I would suspect Alabama. So you got 2 out of the SEC. Yeah. You're going to have Ohio State that's undefeated. Who knocks Clemson down from being a one-loss ACC champion? Especially if they get back on the horse and they go back to being Clemson. Who else knocks them off? Unless South Carolina beats them at the end of the year, don't tell me it can't happen. Unless South Carolina knocks Clemson off at the end of the year, who else is out there that bumps Clemson out of that 4th playoff spot? Now, you'll probably go in as number 4 and you'll play number 1 and you might get absolutely smoked by Bama in round 1, but you'll be in the playoff and you'll have a chance.
As far as that goes, who cares if you're 1, 2, 3, or 4? Because if you deserve to be in there, you should be able to beat any other team that's in there.
Who takes Clemson out of that spot? Right?
They were South Carolina or an ACC team, and it's not going to happen. It's not.
And that, listen, can South Carolina beat Clemson? I'll tell you right now. If what we saw out of South Carolina against Eastern Illinois is the start, because it's not just that's, and this is what I was going to talk about in the segment. We'll come back to it in the next one. Lonzo, it's not that South Carolina beat Eastern Illinois. It's how they beat Eastern Illinois. There's a couple of mental flubs that have to be cleaned up. You had a couple of late hits. You had some crackback, illegal crack blocks. But it's all stuff that can be cleaned up. The offense looked crisp. The offense looked good. The offense looked in control of themselves. Defensively, I mean, listen, I don't care if you're playing an FCS school. I don't care if who you're playing and how you're playing them. Lonzo, in college football, to pitch a shutout is not easy. To keep a team entirely off the board is not easy.
And I will tell you that I don't think Will Muschamp could have done what Beamer did because of how that defense is played over the last couple of years with no intensity, no pursuit, no drive, no nothing.
But you could feel South Carolina, right?
Yes.
Like, I hate to be a hippie, but let me go full hippie for a minute. All right? Peace, may love, not war.
Welcome in.
Let me tell you about, let me be a hippie for Lonzo, you're the furthest thing from a hippie. Get out of here. You are a hippie. You are a hippie from the eyelashes up. That's it.
I was going to say from a distance, I'm a hippie.
Let me tell you. Let me go full hippie on you. I felt South Carolina. I felt it. All right. When I'm watching that game on Saturday, I felt it. I was watching and following the Twitter feed of guys like Corey Diaz from the Greenville News, who's going to join us today, by the way, at 2:15. I felt it. They showed us the Walk of Champions. I felt it. South Carolina, I don't mean to be rude. I didn't feel y'all last year. Does that make, you know what I'm saying, Lonzo? When I say feel, like actually get the electricity and the emotion and the intensity. Last year, I didn't feel anything from South Carolina. They felt like a football team that was just going through the motions to play the games and blah, whatever. And when guys started dropping out late in the year, it was kind of like, yeah, obviously, Saturday night against Eastern Illinois, the cock walk or whatever they call it, the Walk of Champions, it just felt it had something to it. When they started playing Sandstorm and the towels started waving, when the players are coming on the field, I felt something within the Gamecocks program. That's not to say, oh, they're great. They're a playoff. I'm not saying any of that. They're not winning the East. It ain't time yet. But for Shane Beamer's first game, Lonzo, I'll be daggum if there wasn't some electricity coming out of that environment that I was able to feel.
I remember being in that stadium during the Spur era when things were so good and how that felt. And this is akin to that. It is. But again, it's only game one. Don't want to get too crazy yet. But I'm loving the direction they're going. And again, I love the fire, the fact that they're pursuing. They don't look lost. They look like they want to be there and they want to play football.
Now, keep in mind, South Carolina, you are playing one of the worst teams in FCS football or FBS football, whatever. Keep in mind, you got increasing difficulty the next 2 weeks. This week, South Carolina has ECU. South Carolina is a 2-point underdog to ECU on the road, which means, could you get 3 for being at home? 3 for being at home. That means that South Carolina, according to Vegas, is 1 point better than ECU.
Can that line move in the opposite direction by the end of the week?
Absolutely it can.
What would be the kind of thing that would make it?
Well, hold up. Let me, well, the only thing that makes a Vegas line move is money.
Okay.
If people see a line and they jump all over it quickly, then Vegas will, so like, let's say FSU Notre Dame. Line open at Notre Dame minus 10.5, which means that Notre Dame was favored by 10.5 points. And that line, which when we made our picks on it, when we wrote our lines down, was like Tuesday. That line, by the time that FSU and Notre Dame kicked off, some books had it at 6.5, meaning that money came in heavy on Florida State to the point that, so what Vegas wants, though, effectively, is they want half the bets to come in on one team and half the bets to come on the other. So they want to pick a money line where half the bets are FSU and half the bets are Notre Dame. And when they opened up that first line at 10.5, it means people like you and me jumped all over and said Florida State will not lose by 11 points or more. And so many points bet FSU that they had to move the line back towards Florida State to split.
And what a game that was.
Hell of a game. It was the game of the year so far. It's only week 1. But game of the year so far was FSU Notre Dame, no doubt about it. Listen to this. Lonzo, on Sunday morning, when the lines dropped for week 2, I saw ECU between minus 2.5 and minus 3.5. I am looking right now at my sports book conglomerator device here, which puts all the book lines together. Look at this.
Why do you have one of those for?
No reason.
Okay, just curious.
Entertainment purposes only. On Sunday, when the lines dropped, most of them were at minus 2.5 to minus 3.5 in favor of ECU. I'm looking at them now. On the open books, which is just kind of the average, minus 2.5. Here's the rest of my lines broken down by actual Vegas books. Pick 'em, pick 'em, pick 'em. ECU minus 1.5, minus 2, minus 2, and South Carolina minus 1.5, which means that the very early money is coming in on South Carolina to cover. And considering the lines at like 2.5, that means for South Carolina to win on the road at ECU. That's a nice first step. But keep in mind, You got Georgia the week after that. That same Georgia team that just beat Clemson. You got Georgia the very next week. And if you've got Georgia the very next week, and by the way, it's at Georgia, that, Lonzo, is where, if we're going to find out if what we felt on Saturday night out of South Carolina is legit or not. Because they got to go to Georgia to play a Georgia team that just held Clemson's offense to a single field goal over 4 quarters at a neutral site. They got to go between the hedges. And if they get run, like, don't get me wrong, I'm pulling for y'all to be good. As I've told you many times, you want to know what my motivator is to be a Gamecocks fan or a Clemson fan or a Panthers fan? Money. I make more money when you are good. You guys listen and interact and go see our sponsors and make me more money when your football team's good. So, yeah, I'm pulling for Carolina. I'm pulling Go Cox. Go Tigers. Go Panthers. I get richer when your teams are good.
Richer, I mean, you know.
I get less poorer when you guys are good. So I'm pulling for you. That Georgia game is going to be the test. Not because I think, not the test as in, can you go in and beat Georgia in Athens? You can't, all right? But that's not the test. The test is, can you go in, get handled by Georgia, Lonzo, then turn around on September 25th, come back to Columbia, take on a decent Kentucky team, and have that crowd, that energy at Williams-Brice Stadium, that emotion at the WBS, have that same energy and emotion show up when you play Kentucky. If they do that, Lonzo, the Shane Beamer era is off on a great start. But if they go lose to Georgia, and then on 9/25 against Kentucky, Williams-Brice is the home of the loudest crickets in America, then South Carolina fans, I'll have some words for you that next Monday. Capiche? Quick break. I got a bunch of texts to burn through when we come back. I'll respond to your text if you want yours read on the air. Text us 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read it on the air. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Golf card.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Let's run through some of the texts we've gotten so far as we head towards the end of hour number one. Texter says, ESPN, when does South Carolina play Georgia? 2 weeks. Texter says, who else could get in there? Iowa State. Iowa State's got a big one against Iowa this weekend. That's going to be a fun matchup. That's going to go on the circle games to watch. Iowa State wins that one.
Especially after what Iowa did last week.
Yeah. Keep in mind, when Lonzo and I last week gave you our preseason playoff prognostications, Iowa State was Rob Brown's dark horse pick to potentially get in. So maybe, if they run the table, maybe. But keep in mind that if they run the table, that means that looking at where they stand right now, if Iowa State runs the table, that means, Lonzo, Oklahoma's got a loss too, right? That means Oklahoma's also a one-loss team out of the Big 12, and now you got a little fight on your hands there for Clemson, which is where that conversation came from. Texter says, ESPN, what about Oklahoma? Yeah, Oklahoma's in that mix. But if Oklahoma goes undefeated, Iowa State's not. And Clemson will get in over a one-loss Iowa State team on name recognition, right? On narrative. Let's see what they do with another chance. We'll come back to some of these later on. Texter says, 3-part question. 1, why didn't Clemson try a backup QB? 2, Rob, what is your college football team? And 3, after listening to some of these game announcers, have you considered going big time, Rob? These guys suck. You'd be great at it. Not kissing booty, just an observation. Yes, I would go big time calling college football games. And if anyone at ESPN is listening, hello! Why didn't Clemson try backup quarterback? Listen. I think DJ Uiagalelei got a real gut check in this game. Because I got to tell you, I think, and I don't put this on anybody in particular, though I've got some spots. I'm kind of like, Lonzo, I think DJ Uiagalelei had a lot of confidence in himself. Like maybe an overabundance of confidence in himself. I think based on our interview with him, based on some of the other questions and responses I've seen him give, I think DJ thought it was going to be easy to beat Trevor Lawrence. I think DJ thought because he had a fun game against Notre Dame last year where he racked up yards, and because of his other couple of starts, I think DJ Uiagalelei came into this game thinking it was going to be easy to recreate what Trevor Lawrence did. And the offensive line and DJ Uiagalelei found out real quick it ain't going to be easy. I think he got some reality checks.
I just want to say, Texter, who wants a backup quarterback in there, it would not have been a different result because the offensive line was really struggling with Georgia. And as far as that goes, with the kind of defense they were playing, they didn't have anybody open too much. So if you would have had whoever the backup is in, they did give this kid some time to grow. He looked a little afraid out there. He looked a little, as you said, befuddled, a little lost. But he's going to get it. And ACC defenses will help him out by not being good, and he'll be all right.
All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, let me ask you that. Clemson fans, do you feel like, and maybe it's just me, but based on what I've seen and heard from DJ, I think DJ kind of thought he was just going to roll out there and it was going to be easy. And Georgia racked that kid. Let's talk about that back after this. The Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate. Oh, Keegan has given us a lunch breakdown. Number 1, Auburn headed to the Natty. Number 2, Presbyterian is like playing real-life Madden football. And 3, we need a fantasy segment so you can answer who would start questions. I feel like number 3 is not news, Keegan. Could be wrong, but I feel like it's not news. However, I'm not against it.
Unless you phrase it in a way that's,
Yeah,
Rob Brown's fantasy locks of the week.
I'm down. I can do a little. I'll do a little fantasy segment maybe on Thursday. Wednesdays, because you got to set lineups by Thursday. We got Thursday games starting this Thursday.
This Thursday, yeah. Go Cowboys.
I'm shocked, I tell you, to hear that.
And you guys could tell him I said this. So Mark is doing the all cupcakes thing, saying he's going to take cupcakes to the ACC, which he said 2 years ago. I think he needs to change that.
Yeah.
So what seat should it be? The crepes instead of cupcakes, since he already thought of cupcakes.
I have heard Mark Ryan calling the ACC the All Cupcakes Conference for the better part of 8 years now. You're not going to get him to change that.
Just want him to upgrade to, maybe a healthier food. I don't know. Or unhealthy. How about the all candy conference? I mean, it's still a C word. I want to turn my email off, but I can't.
ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and on the Odyssey app. Prescription products require online consultation. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
My husband's ED was affecting our marriage. When he first started experiencing ED, it was difficult for both of us. We didn't know who to talk to about it or where to get help. HIMSS was our answer. HIMSS connected my husband with a licensed provider online. He was able to get medication to treat his ED at a fraction of the price people pay for the name brand. It was delivered to our door, and guess what? Our sex life is back. It works.
Right now, get your first online provider's visit totally free when you go to forhims.com/joy. Yep, free. No copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Just the care you need.
Thanks to HIMSS, we got our sex life and our marriage back.
To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/joy. That's forhims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhims.com/joy.
This report sponsored by Great Southern Homes. Today's the day to visit a Great Southern Homes community here in the upstate. Their designer-decorated model homes are open daily. Live green, live smart with their energy-efficient and smart home plans. Find your great new home today at GreatSouthernHomes.com.
We're trophy hosts. Sorry.
Texter says on the Ingles Market text line at 71307. Texter says, Rob, as a Clemson fan, Trevor would have gotten wrecked too. The O-line was terrible, and I'll be glad when Elliott gets a head coaching job and leaves. His play calling was and always has been freaking awful. I got to tell you, I like Tony Elliott. I got the chance to meet him at Media Day. Super good dude. I was beyond disappointed. It was the same issues that y'all had in every big game that I've been paying attention since Tony Elliott got the job. And if you don't believe me that Tony Elliott's play calling was abysmal, Lonzo, I invite you to go back to about 3 minutes remaining in the first half of the game and look at who was calling plays. About 3 minutes left to go in the first half. Dabo Swinney took over play calling responsibilities. At least it looked like it to me. Dabo had the Waffle House menu on the sideline and was putting it up to his head before offensive plays were called. It daggum sure looked to me like Dabo Swinney took over play calling responsibilities from Tony Elliott to end the first half. And if Dabo took it away, what's the reason? Clemson fans upset at Tony Elliott, and I am not surprised by that at all. Back after this for hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
So what you're saying is Dabo couldn't beat Georgia either. Because if that's true, the play calling didn't improve that much, did
I
it?
think he took it back as well. Also, let me turn the And we're back.
ESPN Upstate score stream at ESPNUpstate.com. Create your feed and follow your favorite team.
Stop it. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Oh, okay. I'm thinking Wakanda Forever, which is much better than the thing that you're doing. Wow, look at you. Thing down.
Great. Thought that whole event was good. Thought it was one of the better wrestling shows I've seen in a very long time. And yes, we will talk about that later on. Shane. Lonzo excited. As the great Taylor Swift once said, and the haters gonna hate.
Oh, I thought you were going to go Shake It Off, but, you know.
I do. We do. You should have seen some of the tweets that I/we was getting after Saturday night with the audacity that we had to say, and I know this may shock some of you, but maybe, just maybe, perhaps, just perhaps, the reason that I was impressed by the Gamecocks on Saturday wasn't because they won the game. Yes, you play to win the game. But it was how they won the game.
You don't understand, though, Rob. You're not supposed to say that South Carolina played a good game. You're not supposed to do that. Those fans who came at you, they don't want to hear that. Because maybe in the back of their mind, maybe they're thinking of the past, thinking of looking at their five fingers and just thinking of something and thinking, could that be on its way back? Probably not anytime soon, but maybe sometime in the future, could that return? So I think the making fun is more out of fear than anything else.
Texter says, Clemson fan here. DJ looks slow, but still should have scrambled and ran the damn ball. He is a big dude. Run the ball. Maybe they were telling him not to. Trevor, come back. You can blame it all on me.
Oh, that was great. Or maybe DJ went back to the huddle and said, did you see the size of those guys? I ain't running the ball.
I just can't live without you. Boom, boom, boom. Trevor, come back. That's what Clemson fans were screaming. Any kind of fool could see.
You know, we can get that music. We could do that song if you want.
We may have to start writing parody songs for this
I
show,
mean,
too.
I have a little bit of experience with that. So, I mean, we could do that.
Listen, we're gonna split our time today between South Carolina and Clemson because I got to tell you, and I know Clemson fans, you may not be used to this because it's not been this way the last handful of years. And I know it's early, and I know the Gamecocks have played won one game.
And Clemson has lost 2 games in a row for the first time in a long time.
127 games.
God, fear is real. They're already trying to figure out where they're going to put their magnets and their flags and stuff. It's only been 1 game. It's going to be okay.
Text me over the weekend.
It's what they do, Rob.
Somebody texted me over the weekend and said that I was going to be shocked by how much less Clemson stuff I would see around town this week. Like, you're going to see it put away. The T-shirts and the stickers and the magnets, they all get put away after an L because Clemson fans are fair weather fans. And I was like, dude, it can't be that bad. And they said, if you can invest locally, invest in like storage facilities this weekend. All right. If that is the case, ladies and gentlemen, then allow me to temper those who are screaming that the sky is falling in Clemson. It's not. Fortunately for you, your schedule's easy, okay? Your schedule's easy. And you're going to get mocked for that. You're going to get beat up for that because, of course, you are.
But you can't, well, other than the out-of-conference games, you can't get made fun. I mean, there's nothing you can do about your conference. Right. If your conference is what it is and it's not good, that's not your fault.
And it's not good. All right? It's not good. But ladies and gentlemen, the sky is not falling in Clemson, South Carolina. The path to the Final Four, yeah, it's a little overgrown now. It's difficult terrain to be crossing for sure. But it is not impossible terrain.
As long as you don't lose again.
Yeah, no, if you lose again, you're done. 2 losses ain't gonna get it. But the path to being one of the Final Four is still there. Now, it's not a guarantee. You're going to need some help, but it's still there. Here's what I would say. To the Clemson fans that believe the sky is falling, to the South Carolina fans who believe that Shane Beamer is now the second coming after that game, I would tell you both the same thing. Chill, bruh. Chill. Relax, man. It's 1 game. Relax. I promise you, in 2 weeks, the Gamecocks are going to get worked by the Georgia Bulldogs. All right? You're going to get worked. The climb to the top of the mountain is not an easy one. That's why so few teams make it. You're going to get worked. coming up very shortly by Clemson or by Georgia. It's going to be the week after that we find out what this Gamecocks team is. It's going to be the week after that when they've got Kentucky coming to the house. Is Williams-Brice electric boogie woogie woogie? Or did the Gamecocks fans take one big L against Georgia and revert back to ho-humness? Clemson fans that are panicking. It's one game, all right? You were not suddenly time to pack up the gear and take it home. It's one loss, by the way, to a pretty decent team in Georgia, a top 5 team in Georgia, and a team that I suspect when the rankings drop is going to find itself as the number 2 team in the country. And you lost by a touchdown. By a single touchdown. Slow your roll, man. It is absolutely not time to panic over this. You're just fine. Do you have work to do? Yes. Do you have work to do to get back on top? Of course you do. But it's not over. You lost by a single touchdown to a really good team that's going to be number 2 in the country. So, I would make the argument on both sides. Yeah? I would make the argument on both sides. Clemson fans, take a deep breath. You got beat. And by the way, everybody's panicking, right? 1 touchdown game. 7 points. Hey, Lonzo, how many offensive points did Georgia score in that game?
0. Oh, is it 3? Okay.
I got a field goal.
I thought you meant
how many
touchdowns.
That's the correct way I should have phrased it. How many touchdowns did Georgia score?
0.
Correct. Georgia outperformed you by 1 pick six. 1. If that pick six doesn't happen, if that ball hits the turf, it's a field goal game late in the 4th quarter. Chill. Deep breath. South Carolina fans. Now, I will say this. From what I've seen over the weekend, Lonzo, there are more South Carolina fans. Scratch that. Reverse it. There are more Clemson fans that feel the sky is falling than there are South Carolina fans that are hitting me with, we want Bama. All right? There are more Carolina fans, scratch that again. There are more Clemson fans that think it's over. The run is done. We had a great time at the top. There are more Clemson fans in that camp than there are South Carolina fans hitting me with, time for a ring, baby. But on either side, in either direction, I need you to chill. I need you to relax. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. Because at the end of the day, 1 win, South Carolina, against Eastern Illinois, is not pumping you up to the SEC championship levels quite yet. That being said, the nuance of the conversation to me, Lonzo, is it wasn't about outscoring Eastern Illinois, though you did. It was about playing solid defense. Shutout says you did. Playing good special teams. 2 blocked punts says you did. Playing solid offense. The fact that you were in a position in the second half to send Jason Brown out. To send out Colton, as I pronounce it, Louisiana, Gauthier, out in the 4th quarter. The fact that you were in that position shows me offensively you had a good grasp of what you're doing. A lot to clean up. Stupid penalties. I think you guys had like 7 penalties for 60-something yards in the first half. You got to clean that up. Multiple dumb penalties. Illegal crackback blocks. holding down the field, etc. You got to clean that up. But Lonzo, the goal for South Carolina was not just go out there and win the game. The goal was go out there and show mastery of Shane Beamer's system. And I think South Carolina did that.
They did that, but I think the biggest question still remains, and we don't know the answer to it. Who is the starting quarterback for the South Carolina Gamecocks? Was that position secured against an FBS team?
I mean, I don't think you're turning it from Luke Doty over to Zeb Nolan based on that performance, but I do think that Luke Doty's on a shorter chain against Eastern Kentucky or Eastern Carolina if he plays this week. If he plays East Carolina this week, which it looks like he will, he's on a much shorter leash, knowing that Zeb Nolan is involved. And that's if they
So you believe Doty's going to start?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. Very rarely can you lose your position to an injury for most coaches. And I don't think Nolan was like such a whiz.
I know. Bledsoe goes down, and the rest is unfortunate history. So I think you can, but I don't know that he played so well that you go, sorry, Luke, too bad. So, but you're right. It will be a short leash. Who has the bigger quarterback questions? South Carolina or Clemson? Because people actually asking for Uyunglele to be benched. I mean, come on. He's going against Georgia. That was a really good defense. That kid's going to get better, and he's going to be great by the end of the season.
Texter says ESPN, while I was typing this message, DJ Ukulele got sacked again. So I guess what I'm saying to both teams here, but both fan bases, Carolina fans, great showing. Great showing. Shane Beamer's team looked crisp on offense. They played Beamer ball on defense and special teams. They were fast. I mean, pitching a shutout even against an FCS team is tough to do, and they did it. But again, holler at me in 3 weeks. Let's go get Georgia. Let's go get pounded by Georgia on the road and see how we look against Kentucky.
So you say pounded. I'm curious.
They're losing that game by 3 touchdowns.
You think so?
Minimum.
You think Georgia has that kind of offense in them?
Minimum.
So Clemson's defense was that good?
Yes.
Who's Georgia play next week?
Georgia has UAB at home.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, warm-up game. Georgia's defense is very, very good. All right. And that's really where the struggles is going to come from. South Carolina has a lot to be positive about after the drumming of EIU. But holler at me after the Kentucky game. Let me know that confidence is still there despite getting drummed by the dogs. Clemson fans, the sky is not falling. This is not the end. Yes, the road is rougher. It's a little steeper. You are rolling with disadvantage for the rest of the season.
Normally I wouldn't disagree with Rob, but the sky is falling. Your season is over. Pack everything away. Become a fan of another team like you do with basketball, and you'll be good. You'll be good. Latch on to, I don't know, maybe a winning team like Alabama.
Cool. Texter says, okay, Rob, thanks. Feeling better now. Listen. You ran up against the number 2 team in the country. You caught one of the best defensive efforts I've seen out of any team in a while. Now, I'm going to say this while I'm saying to temper your disappointment. I will say this. If other teams can rush 3 and get to DJ all year, you are in trouble. All right. I'm going to chalk it up to Georgia being tenacious and very strong at the point of attack. But if other teams can rush 3 and get pressure, the sky ain't falling. It's worse. But the good news for you is that you have an opportunity to right the ship. You have South Carolina State at 5 o'clock on Saturday. Go beat them by 70. Okay? Go beat them by 70. Then you got Georgia Tech. And for those of you who did not keep track of how Georgia Tech's game went this past weekend, not great. Okay? Not great. They lost to Northern Illinois by a point. So go drub Georgia Tech. Then you got NC State. That one's on the road. Go out there and take care of an NC State Wolfpack team up in Raleigh. They'll be coming off of Mississippi State. So that's a physical Mississippi State team. Not a great one, but a physical one. Go rough up NC State. And then do it to BC and Syracuse and Pitt and FSU and Louisville and UConn and Wake Forest. And get ready for the Palmetto Bowl at the end of the year. All right? But if any one of those teams is able to bring 3 or 4 and get pressure like Georgia did, that is where you get to the point where having concerns, very justified. Quick break. We'll keep talking about South Carolina and Clemson when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. My name is Rob. This is ESPN Upstate. Harley Davidson of Greenville. Not only are they your Harley Davidson dealer here in the Upstate, but they are the largest Harley Davidson dealer in the Upstate. You can go in any direction. They have more in-stock 2021 models. They got the new paint schemes, the new finishes, the new color choices, all the gadgets and gizmos. You can go trick your bike out from top to bottom and turn it into the bike of your
visithealth.org/ortho.
Welcome to AutoZone. Having some starting trouble? We can help you out. Let's start with a free battery test. Just need a charge, we can help with that too. And if you need a new battery, we've got a wide selection of replacement batteries, starting at just $79.99, and we're the only place you can find proven Duralast batteries, including Duralast Platinum, APA, and CFP technology. That's why we are America's #1 battery destination.
The anniversary of the movement. It literally never ends. You can come on Jupiter's Ascension, National Pisces Day, but not Leap Day. Just kidding. We're doing Leap Day because every day is perfect for saving money with a Home and Auto bundle only at Progressive. But for real, we're not doing white chocolate day because white chocolate is gross.
Opinions wanted. Well, opinions are like what I
Mad World in the next break.
For those of you that have asked when we are going to talk Team USA soccer after a disappointing 1-1 draw against Canada, the answer to that is in the third hour of the show. Stick around for that because I am not super happy about that. All right? Like at all. We'll talk about that coming up later in the show. Texter says ESPN, #fire Dabo. Texter says the Gamecocks might have a chance in the Palmetto Bowl this year. Texter says ESPN. Jarrett says I was at the South Carolina game on Saturday, and what I saw was a very disciplined team, way more disciplined than when Muschamp was there. Yes, we will lose to Georgia and lose a few more, but I see a different team than what we had in the past few years. Yeah, I hate to be cliche because cliche is boring, Lonzo. I hate to be cliche, but I gots to say, and we talked about this a little earlier, I felt something from the Gamecocks. Like I felt an electricity. I felt an energy out of that team that I didn't feel at any point the last couple of years, honestly. To me, it felt like the guys that were there because they got a scholarship. And they were just playing to keep the scholarship, right? I didn't feel anything. This year, it's one game. Let's not press the accelerator through the floorboard just yet. It's just one game. But I felt something out of South Carolina. I felt an energy. I felt an excitement. I saw the fans reacting. When Sandstorm dropped and the towels went up, it looked like a college football fan base on the verge of erupting. There were some dumb penalties. There were some things to clean up, but of course there was. It's week 1. Let's name all the teams that played near perfect football in week 1. You ready? Number 1, Alabama. Number 2.
That's the list.
The list. That's the whole list. It's Alabama, and that's it. They're the only ones that play that, and I hate to say it, get used to that. That's the Nick Tater style. Yeah, there were mistakes made. They're going to get cleaned up. At least I hope they will. If Shane Beamer's the real deal, they will get cleaned up. But I felt something out of South Carolina. It felt like a program that was alive. It felt like a program that had some adrenaline about it. It felt like a program that felt like it had some pride, like it had something to play for, like it had something to work for. We're going to go back as the week progresses and pick apart that game play by play. Mondays are for overreacting. Tuesday and Wednesday, that's when we go through drive by drive, game by game, and pick apart what went right and what went wrong. But today's for overreacting. I don't think this is an overreaction. I don't think it's an overreaction to say I looked at this Gamecock team. They're up 32-0 in the fourth quarter, and they are flying around the football field like it's the damn Super Bowl. That is not an overreaction. That's an observation.
These guys look like they actually want to play, as opposed to the last couple of years where you just didn't see that.
Yeah. I felt something. Texter says, ESPN, the Gamecocks look like they were having fun again. Exactly. When I say I felt something, that's what I meant. The football team looked like it was having fun. Shane Beamer looked like he was having fun. The fans were damn sure having a good time. They were rolling at Williams-Brice. That's a good thing.
Speaking of fans everywhere in the stands look like they are just out of their mind, crazy happy in every single game that we watched over the weekend.
So good.
Yes, it was.
So good. Jimmy. Let me get Jimmy in here before we take a break. We got Joe Giglio of BetQL joining us next. Let me get Jimmy in here before we run to the break, though. Jimmy, welcome in. Great to have you, bud.
I agree with you about what you were saying, but I was very impressed with certain players on our team. For one, the new quarterback, I think he was 13 out of 21 on 100-something yards, but he had touchdowns. It was very efficient. Then there was another athlete on the offense that impressed me. He's a new guy, Juju Mcdowell. Keep an eye out for that guy. He's very special. Guy's fast, quick. And Marshawn Lloyd, he's all that I've heard. He looked really good. And then the guys on defense we had last year, it's like y'all said, they played with a lot more energy. They had more sacks than they probably had the last 2 years in one game. They put pressure on the quarterback. And then Jordan Burks, that 5-star, he looked like Jadeveon Clowney on that interception, that pick six. So I was very impressed with those things that I saw.
Jimmy, appreciate it, man. Good to talk to you, bud. Spot on. There was electricity. There was energy. There was fun. Zakondre White, 12 catches, 120 yards and a touch. Marshawn Lloyd, 14 rushes, 55. Sorry, Zakondre, 12 carries for $128. Marshawn Lloyd, 14 for 55. And remember, they did all of this, Lonzo, without Kevin Harris, who's the best running back on the team. Yeah? They did all of that without the best rushing back on the team, although Zaquandre Wright said I might have something to say about that by the end of the year. Also had 4 grabs for 39 yards, did White. Josh Vann, 2 for 27. How about this, Lonzo? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different wide receivers for the Gamecocks with double-digit yards after catch.
So spreading it around a little bit right there.
Correct. 185 receiving yards on the day for the Gamecocks. They looked like they were having fun. They looked like it mattered. They looked like there was something to it. Again, it's not to say, the East belongs in Columbia. I'm not saying that at all. I am saying I think Dan Mullen, Kirby Strong, the rest of the coaches in the East, I think they might have to start paying a little attention to what Shane Beamer's doing. Because what's the old saying? A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. That's a pretty good first step. That's a pretty good first step for Shane Beamer. Quick break. Joe Giglio of BetQL. When we come back on the Rob Brown Show, Rob Lonzo, this is ESPN Upstate.
I won't.
Mad Worlds. I got the opportunity to go play a round of the Ghost Town mini golf a few weeks ago. And after it was, first off, it was a blast. We had a great time doing that. But after we were done playing Ghost Town mini golf, the newest attraction at Mad World, they gave us a little tour around parts of the rest of Mad World. They wouldn't show me the whole thing. They're like, hey, some of the stuff back in the woods, we got some new stuff we're not ready to show you quite yet. We want it to be a surprise. But they showed me around a couple of the sets right up at the front. They showed me their carnival games. They took me back into the prop room where the actors were getting ready and putting on their makeup and testing out their costumes. And I got to tell you, I can't wait to get back. And do I have good news for you? 3 days away. Mad World is open in 3 days, ladies and gentlemen. The number one haunt voted year after year in South Carolina. One of the top 10 hunts in the entire country. It is every year one of the most awarded, one of the most decorated haunted attractions you can go to, and it's right here in our backyard. It's right off 385 near Piedmont. Check their website out at madworldattractions.com, madworldattractions.com. Get your tickets now. Get your tickets now, and don't wait in line. If you get them, you can pre-order. You can also get the No Scare medallion. So if you got a little kid or if you're an adult who just doesn't want to be scared, that's okay. Check out the No Scare medallion so you can go see and experience it without having the jitters. But if you're like me and you're looking to be scared, look no further than Mad World. I don't know why I felt compelled to do that at the end, but I enjoyed it. I will answer some more of those questions when I come back in just a moment. I have a question that I was thinking about. So last Tuesday, we talked about that FSU game. We talked about it. The line was at 9.5. I saw some books had moved it all the way down to like 7.5 leading up to that game. I said I was going to play FSU. I thought there was a lot of emotion with them celebrating Bobby Bowden. And I just think the team's going to be a little bit better this year than it has been in years past. Turns out to be what I think is already a game of the year contender. But when you look at a team like a Florida State, how do you separate what might have been an emotional play for them in Bobby Bowden Day, celebrating first game back at a full capacity in Tallahassee, et cetera? How do you pull what that team really is and how you look at their lines moving forward the rest of the year?
It's a great question. And that emotion of week one, or really any emotional game, right? Like, is it real or is it a little bit of nonsense that you get caught up in? I think the real tell, because, we always look at it as week one is a tell, because we have to acknowledge it. As fans, we don't really know as much as we think we do, heading into week one of any season. College is a little bit more predictable because, just the nature of the sport. The NFL is totally unpredictable year to year. But I think that the week after the emotional victory, that's when you see the true form of a team. So I think really if you want to jump on Florida State, or you're thinking, you know what, maybe I'm going to start following that team and taking them, I think watch next week. If they have another strong performance, obviously the opponent's going to make a difference on what it's going to look like. But if they have a strong performance and you feel good about it, then I think you take away like, you know what, maybe they are really good. And if they fall flat, it's like, all right, that was just an emotional high. So I think one more week of data really gives you a sense of if the emotion was the key or the emotion was just part of it.
We're talking to Joe Giglio, BetQL Insider, as we get set for week one in the NFL. Obviously a great week one in college, but we want to flip and cover both week by week. Thursday night, we got Dallas and Tampa Bay, and this one's interesting to me. There are so many people that are so high, Joe, on the Dallas Cowboys this year. Think that they're on the way back. I mean, Dak's going to be healthy. They're going to be good. And then I look across at Tampa Bay, a team that was the best team in the NFL last year, a team that has basically brought everybody back. Tampa Bay is sitting right now around a 7.5 to 8.5 point favorite, depending on where you look. And I got to tell you, I haven't trusted Dallas. They've given me no reason to trust them a number of years. I love Tampa Bay in this game. Agree or disagree?
Agree. And I really think it is the time to bet on Tampa is now. People talking about them having a big year. Well, we'll see. It's an older team, and they're defending champions. And I got to see how they handle prosperity. We know Tom Brady can. I wonder about that whole team over 4 or 5 months, if they're as dialed in as they were late last season. But think about that team post-November last year, post-Thanksgiving. They were undefeated, dominant football team. I think based on their preseason, based on who they brought back, they'll carry that over. I do wonder about them late in the season if they get banged up, if they just run out of gas. But early on, that's when you bet Tampa Bay. And I'm with you on Dallas. I mean, every time Dallas is a favorite, I just shake my head. Like, this is what they do. I thought McCarthy was awful last year, and I don't know what to expect out of Dak right now. I mean, I think he'll be okay, but to expect week one him to be the Dak we last saw before he got hurt, I think it's a lot to ask. And the Zach Martin, being out for this game with COVID, assuming he doesn't have 2 negative tests, it's just a gigantic loss for them. I heard Zeke yesterday saying he's their best offensive player, position aside. Zach Martin's their best offensive player. You take him off the field, it just makes life, harder on everybody else.
We are talking with Joe Giglio of BetQL here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Joe, another game that I'm really intrigued by, and that's Buffalo and Pittsburgh. And this is a sitting at 6.5 for in favor of Buffalo here. And all of season long, I have heard about how this may be the last ride for Big Ben. The Steelers have really gotten him in shape. He seems to be in great shape. And yet I still can't help but think that Buffalo, as fun as they were, as fast as they were, as loose as they were last year, I just can't help but think that Buffalo is the easy play here.
It feels easy, doesn't it? And that scares you sometimes. Like, man, why isn't this bigger? Here's what I'll say about the way I think this game will go. I think styles make fights, and I think for Pittsburgh, any chance they have will be early in this game. They want to go a different way. That they want to run the football more. They revamped their offensive line. They took Najee Harris in the first round of the draft. If they're going to be in this game, they need this thing to be close early so they could stick to that game plan. If Pittsburgh has to go out there and throw 50 times to catch up because Buffalo raced to a 17-3 lead, it's over. Like this will be a cover for Buffalo, and they'll run away with this thing. I don't think Pittsburgh at this stage of Ben's career is built to actually win that way. You know, they could put up some fantasy points, but they can't actually win and cover that way. I think if they're going to win and cover, or they're going to cover, you'll know early. Because if this game is close early, I think they'll stick to their game plan. Harris might control the clock. We know the Bills want to throw the ball. But man, Josh Allen, I watched the preseason. He looks exactly like he did last year, picking up where he left off. I like Buffalo in this game.
All right, I want to take you down to Jacksonville, Florida this weekend, but it's not the Jags. It is the Saints hosting Green Bay in Jacksonville, kicked out of New Orleans, unfortunately, because of the devastation of Hurricane Ida. I looked at this line, and I almost thought it was a typo initially, Joe. Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers on the field for the Pack, a 4-point favorite. Now, I know that it is a home game, but this is and I'll even tell you, Joe, knowing I'm a New Orleans fan, full disclosure, from New Orleans originally. I know there's a lot of Saints fans that are still over in Florida because they're waiting on being told they're allowed to come back. So there may even be a bit of a home field advantage for the Saints, but a neutral site game in Jacksonville against a team that was a couple of plays away from a Super Bowl last year. The Saints are only a 4-point dog in this one. Like, Green Bay heavy, right?
Yeah, it feels crazy. The only fear I have with this, the movement of the venue, has nothing to do with who I think is going to win. I just wonder if the total doesn't go over, if these teams fatigue late. It's supposed to be, close to 90 degrees and humid, as we know that's what it is in Jacksonville this time of year. So that could be a factor late in this game. First game of the year, cramping. Two teams not used to playing outdoors in warm weather. So that I would keep my eye on that. But as far as the game itself, it's Aaron Rodgers against Jameis Winston. I mean, let's just keep it for what it is right there. I mean, that is a significant quarterback mismatch. And Rob, on the Saints long term, I've been thinking for months that I think Sean Payton is thinking way bigger picture about his franchise than we're giving him credit for. Like, people are like, oh, well, maybe he saw something in Jameis and he's his next guy. I don't buy it, and I wouldn't be shocked if the Saints have a really tough year for them, win 6 or 7 games. And then we see the Saints next year be very aggressive in the draft, whatever quarterback coming out of school that Sean Payton likes. Remember those rumors a couple of years ago that he was interested in Patrick Mahomes. So obviously they're trying to think long term there. I wouldn't be surprised. Saints have a tough year, and we see them moving up high in the draft next year to get the actual heir apparent to Drew Brees. I like the Packers in this one.
Yeah, love the Packers in this one at -4. And then finally, one more, then I want to see if you've got anything special for this weekend. Obviously, that's going to be our hometown Carolina Panthers just up the road. They've got the Jets. Carolina favorite in this one, -5. Being in Charlotte is going to give them a little bit of a pillow there, but with Sam Darnold taking on his old team in week number 1, you got to love the drama there. Over under only set at 45, so not expected to be a high scoring affair, which doesn't shock me all that much. But Carolina -5, not a big fan of that line. It's sitting right around there somewhere.
Yeah, that line scares me. It's a tricky number to play. I actually go the other way on the over-under. I think points are going to be scored in this game. I mean, Darnold, by accident, should be better. He can't be worse than he was with the Jets. Joe Brady should do wonders for him. And I do think the Jets losing Carl Lawson, their big-ticket free agent defensive lineman, is a big deal for the season. It's a big deal for this game. So I think there's going to be very little in terms of pass rush bothering Sam Darnold. It'll give him time. McCaffrey will make some plays. Got good weapons on the outside. Dan Arnold, I think, was a good signing for them in the red zone as a tight end. And on the other side, if Carolina gets up, we'll see what Carolina's defense is this year. It should be a little bit better with a lot of those young kids going into their second year. They drafted all those rookies last year in Rule's first year. But I was impressed with what I saw out of Zach Wilson in the preseason. He looks the part. We'll see if New York and the Jets organization swallows him up eventually. But he throws the ball really well. And I think he's got a couple players, especially Corey Davis. Like, I could see the Jets putting some points on if they get down. Their offense starts to hum then. It wouldn't surprise me at all if there's an over. I think Carolina wins this close, but I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game.
All right. Any special lines that you like? We went over a couple of my favorites. What are you saying this weekend? Any big-time plays you'd advise for people?
Yeah, look, there's actually a lot of home dogs this week. And I think when you see that, you got to take a look and see where you could play it. And one that just stands out to me as a home dog that you really might want to jump on and say they might just win the game outright. Look, you have a team. I'm trying to think of the one I wanted to mention here. Oh, you have the Colts who are a home dog. I want to fade the Colts all year, but if Carson Wentz can take all the snaps tomorrow, and he's going to, you feel okay on Thursday. That's kind of the plan up there in Indianapolis. If Wentz comes through a full practice on Wednesday, he'll probably start the game and be the quarterback on Sunday. The Colts, anytime you get a playoff team from last year getting points at home, that's something you have to look at. And the other game I like is, and I think the Eagles could win the game outright in Atlanta against the Falcons. The Falcons are favored by 3.5. I think they're two pretty evenly matched teams trying to find themselves after a bad season last year. And I just think the Eagles are better up front on both sides, offensive line and defensive line. That always goes a long way. So I would consider the Eagles in the money line, but certainly Eagles plus 3.5, I think is a pretty good play on Sunday.
Love it. He is Joe Giglio, the host of BetQL Daily, a BetQL insider. You can find him on the BetQL network and wherever you pick up your podcast. Joe, phenomenal job, man. As always, we will talk to you in a week and reevaluate how we did in week 2, pal.
Anytime. Have a good one.
Always. That's Joe Giglio from BetQL. Let's take a break, wrap up hour number 2. Coming up at 2:15, Corey Diet from the Greenville News. He is our Gamecocks insider. Will join us to talk about that game. We got to break down some Clemson stuff as well. It's going to be crazy, man. Just crazy. The Rob Brown Show rolls on at ESPN Upstate.
where kids' shoes are sold.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more. Because Straight Talk Wireless-
Everybody's taking vacation. I need to take another vacation.
With plans starting at just $35 a month.
I'm gonna work on that.
And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299. All on America's best network. 5G coverage, 5G phone, less money. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. 5G capable device.
I'm gonna take a vacation and I'm gonna pick a video game and I'm gonna play it till I fall asleep. Wake up and play it till I fall asleep till I beat the entire game. See how long it takes me to beat it.
To change our perspective, to challenge us, to work for a better tomorrow. Movement can even bring us together when we're still. Because if we're focused on the next move, we don't have to worry about what's behind us. Goodyear, more driven.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Get king bed for a queen price at Mattress Firm. Save up to $500 during the best Labor Day sale ever on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's. Plus, get a free adjustable base when you spend $6.99 or more.
We're not here to take over.
All right, putting a bow on our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Can I tell you one thing I loved about this weekend? One thing I absolutely loved about this weekend, Lonzo, I don't know how much of you got to watch it on Sunday night, the Knowles and the Irish. But the game was great.
Yeah, what a game.
Game was incredible.
To come all the way back and to fall short in overtime now.
To be down in 18 and then score 18 to take it to OT, cool. But what I loved about it, Lonzo, was not just the game itself, which was phenomenal. How about my dog, Mackenzie Milton? Mackenzie. And not just the fact that he did what he did, right? Not just the fact that he did what he did. Not just the fact that my dude came back from an injury that they told him, don't know if you caught this during the broadcast, it was mentioned a time or two. Mackenzie Milton got told at one point that he may never walk again. Forget play football. He may never walk. That he may lose his leg, that he may be unable to just have a normal life moving forward. And what did Mackenzie do? My dog came out slinging. Imagine being Jordan Travis. Your helmet pops off and you lose the starting job because of it, because Mackenzie came in dealing a hot hand. And what was beautiful about it was that the college football universe was behind Mackenzie Milton. Florida State is one of the most disliked programs in the entire country. Yet just about everybody, it felt like, was pulling for the Knowles because of Mackenzie Milton. But the best part of the weekend? How about Brian Kelly sounding off at the end of that game? Wow. That more when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. 1 hour left. This is ESPN Upstate.
Harley in the first break.
Harley in the first break. Doubling up. I like it.
An Odyssey station.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update powered by The Score. The NASCAR Cup Series will run back-to-back Saturday races, this Saturday at Richmond and then the next Saturday at Bristol. And after that, the current playoff field of 16 drivers will be cut down to 12 drivers. The 12 drivers who are above the cut line right now, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Kurt Busch, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, Eric Almirola, and Tyler Reddick. And then the 4 drivers who are still alive for a Cup championship but looking to do work in these next 2 races to move above the cut line: Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch, William Byron, and Michael McDowell. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss.
Kiddos, we need to practice again and again.
Hey, don't be. What was that?
It's an ad for a game starring Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Okay.
But they have, so, he can't speak anymore. So there's this whole ad for this mobile game that he's promoting. And they use an AI to recreate his voice, and then they CGI his mouth moving.
I didn't know he couldn't talk anymore. I knew Val Kilmer couldn't talk anymore. I didn't realize Jean-Claude was that way too. Yeah, it's just more proof Maybe the AI takeover has already happened.
I mean, if they did it right, you'll never know it.
Right. I could be like the last one, and they're just having fun with my panic.
How do you know I'm not an AI?
I don't. By the way, you need to start pushing the bowling thing. Or are you waiting for them to tell us to push the bowling thing? Especially if we want people to actually show up and do the bowling thing. Yeah, saying.
All right, we talked Clemson. We talked South Carolina. I want your input. Speaking of, coming up, Corey Diaz from the Greenville News. He is the South Carolina beat writer, is going to join us in the next segment. Looking forward to chatting with him. Again, want your thoughts coming up in this hour. 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772. Text us on the Ingalls Market text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read them on the air. Texter says, Gamecocks looked great. Clemson looked terrible. What a great day. End quote. Another texter says, ESPN, the Gamecocks looked like they were having fun again. A South Carolina fan says, he was at the game on Saturday in Columbia, and, quote, what I saw was a very disciplined team, way more disciplined than when Muschamp was there. Yes, we will lose to Georgia and lose a few more, but I see a different team than what we had in the last few years. I agree with that entirely. Another texter says, ESPN, can we talk about Clemson's remaining schedule? Any potential losses with that terrible offensive line? Lonzo, no. I guess. Here's the good news. The good news is the schedule is redonk easy. The bad news is there's a couple of games on there with some teams that always seem to find one, right? They always seem to gut one out. You got at Syracuse. Syracuse every year seems to make somebody stumble. You got FSU coming to town. If FSU is on the comeback path, I mean, yeah, they lost to Notre Dame, but they took a team that is a lot of folks' dark horse national champion. Lonzo's got him at Notre Dame as a dark horse national championship pick. They took him to OT. Granted, it was in Tallahassee. You are at Louisville. I got to tell you, South Carolina's defensive line looks strong. If that offensive line for Clemson is that bad, as bad as they're being made out to be, I don't think they lose one, Lonzo. I think they're finishing the regular season 11-1. And frankly, considering I way whiffed on North Carolina, and considering Miami is never back, there's nobody from the other division in the ACC that I'm scared of in the ACC championship game. Miami's finishing the season, Clemson's finishing the season 12-1.
So think of the gun that we're jumping here. So if South Carolina's defense is indeed possibly the best defense Clemson will face after losing to Georgia,
they might be.
I think they're going to be all right.
Yeah. South Carolina State, Georgia Tech, who's terrible. NC State loves to NC State at NC State. Lonzo, I could see that one being a trip-up game for Clemson. I remember years ago when FSU was in the position that Clemson's in at the top, at the head of the table, for the ACC. Dave Dorn and NC State were always, and Chuck Amato before that, were always the team that FSU fans would get anxious about. And you got to go up to NC State. NC State's going to hound you up front. They're going to bring the dogs after you up front. So a question mark there. Syracuse shouldn't be too tough. Pitt, Florida State, Louisville, UConn, Wake Forest, and then at South Carolina. I'll tell you right now, if South Carolina, Lonzo, I said at the beginning of the year, that I think South Carolina can be bowl eligible by week 8. And the rest is just frosting on the cake, right? They could be bowl eligible by week 8. Genuinely. South Carolina's schedule is top heavy. It's top heavy. Well, let me phrase that. It's back end heavy. It's top heavy with wins. They're already at 1. The line's moving for them to be 2-0 at ECU, and I believe they beat ECU this weekend. L to Georgia. Kentucky, good team, but they're coming to Columbia. Let's say they win there. Troy, win, 5. South Carolina beat Tennessee. I'll tell you what, Tennessee looked pretty good this weekend, too, in their coming out party. Heupel's team looked pretty good, too. So we'll call that a solid maybe. I mean, 38-6 winners over Bowling Green, but it's kind of the same situation, right? It's Bowling Green. Let's not panic. They got Pitt this weekend at Neyland Stadium.
Well, I think you'd have to say that Bowling Green is better than Eastern Illinois, so therefore Tennessee
is better than South Carolina. The old never dangerous transitive property of college football. Never dangerous.
Someone else. Yeah.
But let's say that's an L. All right. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 2. Then they got Vanderbilt. That's 5. They got Texas A&M. That's an L. Florida, Mizzou. So there's not. There's 6 wins by that's week 10, I guess. Front end heavy with wins for South Carolina. Build some momentum. But let's say, theoretically, though, that South Carolina is at 6 wins when they beat Missouri. They got Auburn. Auburn looked good in week 1. Auburn looked pretty good in week 1. It's against Akron, but, give the devil his due. Auburn looked good in week 1. Let's say South Carolina's a 7-win football team, a bowl-eligible team when they got Clemson coming to the house. I don't care if they're not bowl-eligible. You think for Beamer's first year, Williams-Brice ain't going to be hopping? We saw the electricity last night. We saw the emotion last night in Williams-Brice. You tell me that's not going to be hopping for Clemson? It's been a hot minute. We didn't get to see this game last year. So we renew the Palmetto State rivalry. You're telling me that game ain't going to be absolutely jacked through the rafters? And I'll tell you, if Clemson doesn't figure out this run game thing, that could be a massive problem. Let me do this, Lonzo. We got Corey Diaz coming up here in just a couple of minutes, but let's get you some sound from the press conferences of Dabo and Shane Beamer. Let me start, Lonzo, with let's just give you the opening to both pressers because both coaches got in depth. Clip 2, if you don't mind. This is Dabo Swinney opening his press conference after losing to Georgia.
Okay, well, obviously incredibly disappointed with the outcome of the game. Congratulations to Georgia. That was a heavyweight fight. Really tough matchup, just like we knew it was going to be. New points were going to be hard to come by. I'm super proud of our defense. I thought they just battled their tails off. Games like this are just usually a few plays when both teams are really talented and both teams are playing with that type of toughness and physicality. And our defense was tough. They were physical. We gave ourselves a chance. We got a big turnover. And it was really disappointing because we were in field goal range there. We ended up taking a sack, which we should not have done. And then we get the big turnover on the punt team, Jack Maddox. Just couldn't capitalize. They got the turnover and got the touchdown. So, that's the difference in the game. Both offenses kind of had some heavy work against these defenses, and we just didn't do a good enough job offensively when the opportunities were there to take advantage of. But it was a tough game for sure. But I'm just really proud of our guys. I'm proud of how they played. I'm not proud of some of the execution in some areas and some of the critical mistakes. But their enthusiasm, their toughness, their will to win, their passion, their belief, those are great things. That's a hard game. And, had we won the game, we'd still had a lot of mistakes. Georgia will be watching the tape. They're going to see a lot that they got to improve and get better from as well. Both these teams have a chance to be great special teams. And I think the season will prove out to be that. But for us, all of our goals are still in front of us. This hurts because this is not the outcome we want, but when you step in the ring, in games like this, these are hard ones to win. And again, you got to make the critical plays and the critical moments. We didn't do it, and they did. So congratulate them. And we'll show back up Monday, and we'll get back to work. This is going to be a heck of a football team coming together. I don't have some of our best players that maybe didn't play quite as well as they'd like tonight. This is going to help them, no doubt. This will help us, grow up sooner and quicker because it's going to be a tough season. It's going to be a lot of competition, but every goal for the Tigers is still out there. Same thing for Georgia, but we all got to move on and get ready. I'm excited to get back in the Valley. I really appreciate our fans. Our fans were amazing. It was just an awesome environment. This was a great experience for our team. And again, not the result we wanted, but I'm proud of our guys. I'm proud of how they competed. And we'll all get better and grow from it. There's no doubt in my mind.
So that's what Dabo had to say. And by the way, the audio quality is because the press conferences for most of these games are being done remotely now. They're being done via Zoom. And so these are recorded off computers. You heard Dabo say, hey, look, everything's going to be fine. We're good. We're comfortable. We're settled in. We're secure. And we're going to be a good football team. And he said later in the press conference, somebody said, is it panic time yet? And Dabo said, we are not going to panic because we lost by one touchdown to the number 2 team in the country. And that's 100% fair, Lonzo.
Although, if you're one of those Clemson fans, there was a finality to Dabo's voice. There was it was down. It was not the normal upbeat Dabo rah kind of thing. And I think that if you are one of those Clemson fans who are already putting your stuff away, you heard it, and you know that you're done, and it's sad. It really is.
I don't think it's time.
You don't see what I'm doing here. See, my sarcasm and my coming at Clemson is just to fire them up, make them mad, and make them realize that they're still alive and it's okay and it's fine, and their team's going to be all right because they're still in the ACC. So if I cause a little bit of anger, good. If I cause a little fire, it makes you feel all right, doesn't it? Because it's not over. Keep your stuff out. Don't put your flags away. You're going to be all right. I don't personally want you to be, but you're going to be all right.
You're the meaning in my life. You're the inspiration.
Is it like 80s lyrics day? And
you bring feeling to my life. Your turn.
You're the inspiration.
You're the inspiration. Okay, Texas.
See, all I can think of is how weird Peter Cetera looked. Speaking of aliens.
Don't panic. Don't panic. Now, I've got some stuff from Shane Beamer as well, but I I'm going to take a break because when we come back, Corey Diaz, who usually joins us on Monday, but we were off yesterday, joins us today. He literally just got done talking to Shane Beamer. So we are not only going to have clips from Shano, but we are going to have you literally the hottest, freshest take straight from the mouth of the Shane when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
Harley?
I couldn't see it because
those
yeah, ape hangers. I got it, but I didn't get that up front.
It's just my fault. I didn't realize you couldn't see my.
Yeah, I just saw this because the monitor were blocking your hands.
Yeah.
So I thought you were just holding your hands up in the air, which concerned me.
So the AP poll apparently is out.
Oh, is it? We got Corey here, which means I have to mute the stream. The brain fart that went through my head to make me think that that was the button to unmute the stream. I don't know why.
Robert, you there? Oh, there you go. You are on 2, not on 3. Okay. You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. It's all right. I caught it. We're good.
Want to say hey to Scott?
Hi, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Hello.
I will be there shortly after my show to meet you, buddy. Looking forward to it.
Oh, man. See you in a few.
All right. I'm turning it up.
All right. We're good. I'm going to disconnect this one. We're perfect connection. He's got left cable.
All right, cool.
There's never been a better time to switch to Spectrum Mobile. You can save hundreds of dollars on your mobile bill. Plus, there are no added taxes, hidden fees, and no contract. Try the Spectrum Mobile savings calculator today. And in 3 easy steps,
Did you find the poll, by the way?
you could save by switching. Visit
Good people.
spectrummobile.com/save.
No, I started looking at this guy who said that if ECU beats South Carolina, they're going to fire Shane Beamer
Oh,
immediately.
yeah, I saw that. I saw that you responded. Hey, Corey, this is Lonzo with Rob Brown Show. Hey, we've got about a minute. Hang on. Yep. I saw someone say that Georgia's 2.
Welcome to a place where everyone deserves to be better protected, where technology has your back.
Do I take my motorcycle to Boiling Springs? It's a half hour. That's not bad, right?
I would check the weather first.
Is it supposed to rain?
There's a chance of scattered showers. That's, speaking of scattered, that's what? Maybe let's go to ESPN and find it there.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on? So you've got an oil change coming up? We can help you get started. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Castrol GTX and an STP oil.
Clemson drops to 6.
Really?
All right, where is the thing? That's the article. Show me the entire thing. Oh, let's just go over here. I'm on ESPN. I'm looking. Well,
All right, to the phone lines we go, and welcome in a young man who has become the voice of the Gamecocks as an insider here on the Rob Brown Show. He is the Gamecocks beat reporter for the Greenville News, and he, of course, joins us, well, every Monday, but yesterday we were a little busy doing nothing except recovering from the hangover of the first weekend of college football in entirety. Corey Diaz joins us here on the Rob Brown Show. Corey, my man, in the stadium, you got your first taste of Williams-Brice, and I will tell you, I wish you would have had the opportunity to see it last year or even the year before that with the dude, I've been saying all day, Corey, I felt this team, right? Like I felt the enthusiasm and excitement from the team that bled over into the fans, into the stadium. It felt like what South Carolina fans want their football to feel like. How was it for you being in the stadium?
Rob, thanks for having me, brother. And also, first off, let me say, man, first Monday after the first weekend of the full slate of college football games, and you guys got to take a Monday off. I mean, that's pretty soft. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty soft. Kind of disappointed.
It wasn't our choice, Corey. We, of course, Lonzo and I wanted to do like a 13-hour mega show, but the powers that be were like, sorry guys, we already programmed the computers, so it's not on us.
we're not soft, brother.
But nah, man. Yeah, to your point, for me personally, with it being my first game at Willie B, first game on the beat, let me say that, it started 3 hours before kickoff. I noticed just, walking up from the media parking lot, up to the, west side of the stadium to get my credential and to be able to go up to the press box, man. And, just walking by various tailgates, hearing the music, hearing the folks that got the satellites and got the various games that were going on at the time, on their TVs, just kind of overhearing some conversations, from fans outside the stadium, before they went in. Just the excitement, man. I mean, everyone was really curious, as to what this team was going to look like, under Shane, and it being his first game. Everyone was going to get their first look, their first taste. And I think, leading up to the game, once everyone was inside, look, we got to credit the student section, man. I think the student section was 98% full with like 55 minutes before kickoff. You don't really see that at a lot of places, and I've been in several other SEC stadiums, including my alma mater at Alabama. You don't see that, stadium section there doesn't get full until probably 3 minutes, into the first quarter. But I just think that, just everything that we've talked about how this off season has gone for Shane and his staff and the football program, just kind of that preseason momentum. I think we saw it all culminate this Saturday. The stadium wasn't 100% full, and I think it would have been really hard to expect everyone that had bought a ticket to show up to an Eastern Illinois game. Had this had been an opening conference game or something like that, I really do think we would have saw a completely full Williams-Brice Stadium. But, I think what the fans brought, I think the team fed off of that. I think the energy and the enthusiasm that Shane brings each and every day, I think that bled into the team, and I think we saw that on Saturday. So, again, like you and I talked last week, Rob, this game wasn't about necessarily winning by 60 points or 46 points or even 24 points. It was about putting a respectable and a good-looking product on the field. And outside of some really foolish penalties that I think South Carolina committed on Saturday, I think from an offensive, defensive, and a special team standpoint, I think we saw that.
So I want to start with a couple of things. And the first is going to be, I listened to Shane Beamer's press conference. As a matter of fact, I was listening through it and I heard your question to Shane, which we'll get to in a second. But the one thing that really stuck out to me was how insistent Shane was that he loved it, right? Like he seemed to be in a good mood. And granted, most coaches are in a good mood after they win. But for all the talk about Shane Beamer took this job and wanted this job and fits in because he's a Gamecock, because he loved his time in South Carolina, because he wanted to be able to bring this program back to glory. During that presser and after the game when he took his Gatorade bath and was hanging with the players, I saw a guy who was generally high, positive energy and kind of maintained that. Did he have that same aura about him today during availability after 24 hours of the game settling in?
Oh, yeah, for sure. 100%. Again, this is a job that I really, truly feel like from having spent some time around Shane and, having some extensive conversations with his dad, Frank, and some of his other family members, man. This job was the pinnacle for him once he was here on staff with Spurrier, spent those years here with him. And then getting away, I think it's worth noting, right, that, after his stint here at South Carolina, he spends time at two perennial powerhouse football programs in Georgia and as recently before here at Oklahoma. And so for having spent time at both of those places, and then still the University of South Carolina is the pinnacle for what you want to do and where you want to be as a head football coach on the collegiate level. I think really, honestly, Rob, that kind of tells you all you need to know about Shane Beamer, his relationship with not only this football program here, but the people here, the relationships that he has had established, for 10, 12, 13 years now. I think those are things that he truly personally covets. And, I think we're going to see this each and every weekend, man. Like, again, in a couple of weeks, the game at Georgia is going to be a tough one. So I am curious to see kind of what the mood is after that. But I don't think we're going to see much of a difference because I feel like we're watching a guy achieve a dream that he's had for a really long time. And so it's going to take a hell of a lot to tarnish someone who feels that way.
Corey Diaz, beat writer for the Gamecocks for the Greenville News, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. As far as that game, I mean, I heard the reporters repeatedly in the press conference calling it Beamer Ball 2.0, and Shane kind of said, hey, look, if that's what y'all want to call it, that's fine, but our goal was to go out there and be sharp. I told a lot of people, Corey, that the emphasis and the excitement for South Carolina wasn't that they beat Eastern Illinois. They should have. It was expected. The excitement for South Carolina fans, I think, is how they did it. As Shane said, you can call it Beamer Ball, you can call it Beamer Ball 2.0, you can call it whatever you want it. They were sharp. They executed a couple of mistakes here and there, a couple of special teams mistakes, but also 2 blocked punts, a lot of penalties. But also, it looked like Zeb Nolan had command of the offense, and the offense had command of itself. Corey, to me, the excitement came from the fact that South Carolina, for the first time in a while, not only looked excited, enthusiastic, energetic, but they executed well. They did the little things right. And I think that is why South Carolina fans are as pumped as they are.
Yeah, and they should be. I'll kind of single out special teams here, and in my immediate story after the game, when the clock hit 0 and the buzzer sound, one of the things that I mentioned was, look, was there a significant talent gap between what South Carolina ran out to the field on Saturday versus what Eastern Illinois ran out there on Saturday? 100%. But there's one aspect of the game that, whether you're playing a group of 5 school, an FCS school, or I would even argue that you could go down to maybe some Division II schools. When you talk about punts, kickoff coverage, punt coverage, there's not a lot of gap between an SEC school, and some of those lower tier programs that you might would play. The snap times are going to be very close. The hang time on punts, unless you've got a guy like J.K. Scott who can, kick it over Sears Tower in Chicago. I mean, your punt hang times are going to be really similar. Your kickoff distance is going to be really, really similar. And so, to me, that's what stood out the most, is that, this team was able to block 2 punts in one game, but 2 punts in one half of football. And Shane said today, if they had some proper lineups on a couple more, punt pressures, they probably could have blocked 4. And that's an unheard of stat. I'd have to go back and look. I don't know if I've ever seen 4 blocked punts in a game before, but those are plays. Those are moments in a game that can really swing the momentum to the other team. You know what I'm saying? It's, if you block a punt and you start an offensive drive on your opponent's, 24-yard line, I mean, you exponentially increase your chances of scoring, whether it's kick a field goal or getting down and scoring a touchdown. So in some of these tougher games, if South Carolina can block a punt, in a pivotal moment in a game, that could really swing the outcome. It potentially could. So, offensively, to me, they were very, very vanilla, and we knew that going in. They weren't going to ask Zeb to, throw the ball 47 times. It was going to be a very game manager like, game plan for him. You've got like Zaquandre Wright, Marshawn Lloyd, and Juju McDowell that was going to be carrying the rock for them. So, I mean, the run game was going to be the heavy focus, especially against an inferior opponent. The offensive line has got some things to clean up, and they better do it in a hurry, because East Carolina up front is pretty good. And they draw up a lot of blitzes. They do a lot of stunts along the defensive line. So this weekend is going to be a great test, and it probably is really good timing, considering 2 weeks from now you're going to have to play that defensive line that Georgia's going to run out there, which is arguably probably the best in college football.
Corey Diaz, beat reporter, covers the South Carolina Gamecocks for the Greenville News, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Ordinarily joins us on Mondays, but had to pass that up as we were off yesterday. Give me, Corey, defensively. We talked a little bit about the schedule and the highs and lows. And again, I maintain, we talked about the expectations being 6 wins. I think South Carolina might have 6 wins with 2 or 3 games left to go on the schedule, and will consider it a success. You don't want to overstate it based on one game, right? It's one game. It's a new coach. It's the first game with almost a full stadium back in Columbia. So you don't want to overstate it after one game. But overall, Corey Diaz, this team looked like they were disciplined, looked like they were having fun, looked like they were having enthusiastic time defensively. Are we going to see more of that from the Gamecocks, or was that going to be an above average performance based on what you saw during this offseason?
Again, Rob, it's one game. It's easy to have high expectations, or you look at the opponent, and I think it's also easy to really temper your expectations of what it's going to look like. I personally, I would like to see what this defense does this weekend against Holton Ahlers and that East Carolina offense that I think is obviously going to be much better than what the defense saw this past weekend. But what I do think is very encouraging on the defense side of the ball for South Carolina at this point is that you had some guys, especially on the back end of the defense, that were suiting up for the first time, in a South Carolina uniform, and they went out there and they played well. They played sound football. You had all 10, 11 guys, run into the football. Shane mentioned it after the game Saturday night, and then doubled down on it today. Probably the biggest stat, and we talked to Brad Johnson today, one of the starting linebackers for South Carolina too, and he said that's a great stat to have, is that no one was loafing on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that's a stark contrast, right, to I think what a lot of Gamecock fans have seen over the last 2 or 3 years under the previous coaching staff. And and a lot of times, especially when you talk defense, just your effort, can go a long way. That can keep, the opposing offense from, breaking a big play. The way you tackle, Shane mentioned that after the game on Saturday too. Open field tackling, gang tackling, the form in which the guys on the defensive side of the ball were tackling. Again, that's another stark contrast that I think from what people have seen the last couple of years under the previous coaching staff. So, two things that aren't on the box score after a game, but are two critical points to playing really good, sound defense. And I think those are things that this defense will be able to carry with them, through the remainder of the year. If they continue to get even better, in those two particular things, again, we could be talking about 4, 5, 6 weeks from now, a defense that could be in the top 5 in the league, a defense that, could be wreaking havoc when you talk about creating turnovers, which they did that a few times this past Saturday. Jordan Birch hitting 20 miles an hour on his pick six. A guy his size, man, that's the thing of nightmares for opposing offensive players and opposing coaches, man. I mean, that's unreal. So, if you can do those two things consistently, South Carolina's defense, and I think, Rob, you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, with the talent that they have at positions on this defense, the defense can keep this team in some games where, a lot of people would just assume, oh, well, it's South Carolina. They haven't been great the last 3 or 4 years. This team is going to roll over them. Well, hold on now. This defense has got the horses in the right spots to keep them close in games.
It is going to be very interesting to watch it continue to develop. Corey Diaz is the beat writer for the Gamecocks of South Carolina for the Greenville News. He joins us on Mondays. Had to move into today because of the fact that we were off and lazy yesterday. So he joins us here today. Corey, last one, and then we'll cut you loose, man. I mean, after what you saw yesterday, have your expectations changed, whether it's for either side of the football, for the team, for their results, for Shane Beamer? What, if anything, has changed in your mind before and after watching the demolition job of Eastern Illinois?
Yeah, I think it, I think, again, for me, coaches say it all the time, right? That, why they spend so much time and energy and put so much emphasis on special teams play. I think just blocking 2 punts in a game, man, blocking 2 punts and a half is a crazy stat to me. I've been covering college football now for a handful of years. I've seen top programs go weeks upon weeks, even seasons, without blocking a punt. And this group blocks 2, with like 4 minutes to go before halftime. That to me is a position group on this team that I really honestly think, I think last week I said, I think 4 wins would be a really good year for this group. I mean, if this group blocks at least 1 punt, every week or every other week, again, I mean, they could win some games that right now I don't see them winning. I think that could be a momentum flipper. So that to me is something that I really want to see, especially this coming Saturday. Can they be consistent and wreak havoc, with their special teams, week in, week out? Is that something that they continue to do? And if so, man, I mean, it's a situation where, I may think they win 4 games, but I may look up, in November and they're staring down bowl eligibility, with a couple of, tough games there at the end of the year. So again, it's 1 game. So I'm hesitant to say that, my expectations have changed. I really want to see this team for the next couple of weeks, at East Carolina, at Georgia. I want to see what kind of fight this team is going to have in a crazy hostile environment in Athens in a couple of weeks. A team that just knocked off, Clemson. I mean, did Clemson even gain a yard against Georgia's defense? I don't even know. I think I just saw DJ Uliungalele just pick himself up off the ground out here. So I'm interested to see what kind of fight this team's going to have against Georgia, especially defensively. If they can kind of continue to improve, tackle the way they've been tackling, just keep that same effort, even if Georgia goes up early, what kind of effort is going to be on the defensive side of the ball? Can they stay within themselves and not be affected by the scoreboard? I want to see those things before I really say, okay, my expectations have changed for this team.
Accept that entirely. Corey Diaz is the beat reporter for the Gamecocks for the Greenville News. Corey, my man, great to talk to you, big dog. I appreciate you making time for us today. We will talk to you in less than a week after week number 2, fella.
Appreciate you guys. Y'all take care. We'll talk soon.
You got it, buddy. Follow him on the Twitter device. His name is at Corey Diaz, CORYDIAZ _TGN. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
My bad.
Nope. Keegan wants the glass shattered to announce that Auburn's in the top 25.
We have a Prisma in the next break. We ain't gonna have no time for no glass shatter. Sorry, Keegan.
I'm Serena Williams. You watch me live on TV. So why am I the British drama you watch on demand? Sure. It's because DirecTV Stream brings the best of live TV and on demand together. Mr. Jeffries, you're making me blush. Introducing DirecTV Stream, the best of live TV and on demand with no annual contract. Get your TV together at directv.com.
Requires high-speed internet and connected device. Contact varies by package location. Restrictions apply.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries starting at just $79.99. And they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Prescription products require an online consultation. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
My husband's ED was affecting our marriage. When he first started experiencing ED, it was difficult for both of us. We didn't know who to talk to about it or where to get help. HIMS was our answer. HIMS connected my husband with a licensed provider online. He was able to get medication to treat his ED at a fraction of the price people pay for the name brand. It was delivered to our door, and guess what? Our sex life is back. It works.
Right now, get your first online provider's visit totally free when you go to forhims.com/joy. Yep, free. No copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Just the care you need.
Thanks to HIMS, we got our sex life and our marriage back.
To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/joy. That's forhims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhims.com/joy. We're trophy hosts. Sorry.
All right, very quick segment here as we get ready to hit Twitter trending topics on the way out the door to the AP Top 25 poll is officially out. And as I told you they would earlier today, Alabama holds on to their first place spot, and Georgia has jumped all the way up to number 2. Also get 4 first place votes out of the deal as well. They are less than 70 points shy of Alabama at number 4. That's the credit you get for knocking off another top 10 team. Ohio State, OH. IO ends up in 3rd. They are just a few points ahead of Oklahoma. Texas A&M 5, and Clemson only falls down to number 6. Now, here's why they're not out of the playoff here, Lonzo. You got Texas A&M in the SEC West ahead of them, along with Alabama. Those two teams play each other. One of them will lose and drop down, likely going to be A&M. That moves Clemson up to number 5. Then all you've got to have is, and Alabama, Georgia play each other in the SEC championship game. If Alabama and Georgia don't play each other in the ACC championship game, it means one of those two teams has lost 1, maybe 2 games, and they're going to bop out anyway. But if Georgia and Bama play each other in the championship game and Clemson doesn't lose another game, there's your 2 teams that have to drop. All of a sudden, Clemson's number 4 in the playoff. Lonzo, Clemson's still got a more difficult. I would say they don't even need help.
It's not more.
They don't. All Clemson has to do to make it in, don't lose again. Okay? Now, is this going to be the year for the first time that the folks that vote on this look and go, okay, well, even though they lost in the last week, their loss, Clemson's loss is to the number 2 team in the country as of today. Okay? And it was by a touchdown. If they went out, they don't even need help. Because A&M and Alabama, one of them is going to eliminate the other. Georgia and Alabama, one of them is going to eliminate the other. Then you've got the remainder of those 3 teams, Ohio State and Oklahoma ahead of them. There's your 4. Clemson's in. Win out and you are in, Clemson fans. Texture says ESPN, wow, you don't think Auburn is going to win out and knock off Georgia and Bama? Shameful. Signed, random texter, and definitely not Keegan, noted Auburn fan. Fair enough. Fair enough, not Keegan. Well done. Twitter trending topics to wrap it all up on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate.
Those my.
Somebody left us an angry face emoji on our stream, and I don't know why.
I'm sure it was something I said. Yeah, look outside.
Not ideal.
Yeah, just I'm sure you're wearing straight up leather from head to toe, and the rain would just roll off.
I literally rode here on the motorcycle wearing
Yep,
this. So,
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Not ideal.
Spectrum Business called their competitors to see if any of them could beat Spectrum's business internet plus phone for $69.98 per month with no added phone taxes.
I try so hard to please everyone.
I may have to go home and get the Jeep. Damn.
Or you can risk it. I mean, look at the radar.
I'm looking at the radar. There's one storm over Pickens and Easley right now.
Well, you're not going to Pickens or easily. You're going the other direction, I believe. That doesn't mean Rob's eyes will soon be turning red. I'm glad we're not bowling this week.
I'm not. It's kind of a bummer.
No, because my fingers are killing me. And I literally would be bleeding. I'd still bowl through the pain, but it's. The good part is I got the floor installed. The bad part is my wife really likes the floor, which means there's more bloody fingers in my future. Or find a more sound cutting method. Maybe wear gloves. Gloves might have been a good idea. Kick the ball. Kick the ball. The one team seems to have a lot of blonde-headed dudes.
Well, they're from Finland.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that may have something to do with it. They all seem to have the same haircut from a distance.
This is Scandinavia.
That's ZipRecruiter.com/KELLERMAN. Want to look like $1 million but only spend a handful of bucks? Upgrade to a Dollar Shave Club 6-blade razor for a noticeably smooth shave thanks to their 6 precision steel blades. Razors can be so expensive, so don't spend all that money for a mediocre shave. With Dollar Shave Club, you get the shave you want every time. Dollar Shave Club. It's what dreams are shaved of. Find your perfect shave.
It's what dreams are shaved of.
I heard that. Time for Twitter trending topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on the internet.
You gonna make it, buddy?
I got a porcupine in my throat.
You got 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Hang in there.
yeah, I'm good. I don't.
Preview? Breakdown? I haven't seen anything about it.
Teaser
Coming out.
and no, and I haven't watched it yet, but a teaser just dropped like, I don't know, about 15 minutes ago or something like that.
Sequel or reboot? Do we know? It's got to be a sequel. I mean, it's made.
It's a sequel. I know something about it, but it would be considered spoilery to you, so I'm not going to do that.
Good. Is Keanu in it?
Yes.
Then I will see it.
Carrie Ann Moss also in it.
Then I will definitely
Lawrence
see
Fishburne also
it.
in
And
it.
I obviously am going to see it. I'm here for it.
Okay.
That's it. That's the whole take. I'm in.
It is not a reboot from my understanding. All right. The next thing trending is Jeff Hardy.
That would be, of course, the brother of friend of the show, Matt Hardy. Is he potentially all elite? Is all I'm asking.
No, people are very angry that Jeff Hardy is down so low on the pecking order that last night he was pursuing the 24/7 championship.
Cool. So Jeff Hardy in a year will be all elite.
maybe. And we got time for one more. New Twitter is trending.
New Twitter?
Yes.
Do we?
Apparently, Twitter is new today. I didn't see any difference, but a lot of people see a difference on their feed. They're complaining that it's like YouTube, and I don't see it. So
Twitter is. I bet it's a mobile thing. I bet it's a mobile thing.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
Let's see.
I know
my Twitter looks exactly the same.
Some people are really angry about.
Yeah, whatever.
There's like 6,000 or 7,000 tweets on it, but
They'll
we're
be
just
angry for 3 days, and then they'll be like, "Okay, anyway, here's
maybe change the blue checked ones." I'm just possibly.
Texas says if Georgia loses to anyone other than Bama, that team beats UGA, should move ahead of Clemson and Georgia. Whether that puts them in the playoff or just knocks Clemson and Georgia out. I'll break that down tomorrow, Texter. It's a good thought. Mark Ryan, Diesel up next for Offsides. Have a great day. See you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate later, brother.